Man, it is cold today. Ooh, first and foremost, I want to say thank you guys for watching this video. And by no means, this video is to uh, hurt anyone in any way, shape, or form. This is something that's been, on my chest for a very long time. And I just want to come out, I just want to come out from the dark and be able to tell you guys, my side of the story, what really happened between me and my ex, and losing my kids, in custody, and it's really sad, as a father going through custody battle, visitation rights, going against child support, dealing with the ongoing child support issues. And so it's freaking cold. It's like, I don't know, -1 out here. But I just want to be able to clear up, this path. Me and my ex, we were together for about 8 years. We She finally, separated and left me due to a domestic violence situation that happened. And what really got to me was when one of my friends, and he told me, he was like, hey, about that night, prior to you getting arrested and dealing with domestic violence charge and everything, that your wife, like I call her my wife at the time, they're like, dude, that your wife was out at the birthday party, and that your brother was the one that took her home that night. And I'm like thinking to myself, like, this was a couple months after, right? This was a couple months after, we went through the separation. She came and got a moving truck and moved all her stuff out, all the kids' stuff out. I even allowed her to grab anything she wanted. I was really trying my best to, work out the relationship again. I was doing my best to, get everything resolved, but nothing was resolved. And back to the, my buddy's telling me, my one guy, and he's like, yeah, your brother was the one that took her home. I didn't think anything of it, right? I mean, this was a month prior to my arrest, a month prior to my domestic violence situation, right? And leading up to, to getting arrested, I was drunk, being dumb, stupid. I broke down the door, broke down the table and everything. And mind you, this was like 5 years ago, right? This was 5 years ago. So, we're in the year 2026, but this happened, back in January 2021. And but the domestic violence situation happened in February of 2021, and she packed up and left in March. So, and then I barely got to see the kids. It's really sad. But I want to be able to touch base on this story because I know a few people have been questioning me about what really happened. Not a lot of family members really saw the good in me. When that happened, they looked at me as the bad person. They looked at me as the bad guy. I got ridiculed. Everywhere I went, people looked at me like, "Damn, that's a big shame for Koo," because he's the one that caused all this to happen, right? And like I said, it's a couple months later go by, my brother hits me up, and he's asking me to borrow him $1,500, right? And I'm just like, man, like, what the heck, man? Like, I get it, but you're the one that's down the drain here. And he finally tells me his side of the story of what happened between me and I'll just say ex-wife, because I call her my wife at the time. Between me and my ex-wife. And I just couldn't believe it, right? And he says that, whatever you heard about the rumors and stuff or whatever, like, I just want to let you know, for like, like, he was just saying, like, I just want to let you know, like, this is what really happened between me, and your ex-wife when I took her back home that day. and it's mind-boggling. I'm like, wait a minute. So this actually did happen, right? And I'm thinking to myself, like, you know, my brother wouldn't do this to me. Why would he have an affair with my ex-wife? Why would he bother, right? But he was the one that took her home, right? And I believe she didn't come home till like 1:30 in the morning that night. And the crazy part is she was out partying with my brother's girlfriend for her birthday in the month of January 2021. So so that was a little pretty crazy right there. And I told her specifically that, I've been up all night watching the girls. We have three daughters. The first one's my stepdaughter because she was previously married, and then I got two daughters with her. And I was like, honey, like, when are you coming home? Like, I don't understand why you're not home yet. Like, you mentioned that you're gonna be with my brother's girlfriend and her friends, and then you mentioned a specific time to be home, and you're not home. It's making me worry, right? And then on top of that, I told her, I was like, hey, I'll come pick you up if you need a ride, but she said no. And the one person that takes her home is my brother, and they end up doing something. um he just mentioned that, oh, we just bump lips and we hug each other. And now I'm like, my head is spinning, my head is all over the place with all these scenarios and situations. In that month alone, she was constantly on the phone with somebody that I didn't know, right? She had plans to go meet with somebody the night of my arrest. I don't know who she was supposed to meet that night, right? And the crazy part is, when I tried to celebrate my brother's birthday that year, my brother's birthday was on April, right? And I was with a really one of his best guys, that he hangs out back in the day. I told him straight up that there was something that I wanted to talk to him about, and he completely ignored me. Didn't even show up for his own birthday. And then the next day, he's asking my ex-wife if she told me that they did something, right? And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, I'm like, damn. So, come to the conclusion, yeah, she had the affair, right? I didn't know anything about it, but everything all happened for a reason, right? There was no point of why this domestic violence should have happened in the first place. But yeah, a month before, something happened already, and then a month later I get arrested, and then a month after that, which is March, separated, right? I mean, we were never legally married. We had, I was taking care of my two daughters plus a stepdaughter too, so three daughters, and it's like, damn, everything was ruined in just a matter of a month. But we were together for almost 8 years. And I'm not gonna say that everything is all her fault, or that, the infidelity or the affair caused, us to just be, no, because the main thing that happened was I caused the domestic violence, right? I was drunk and stupid, all that bullshit. And everybody looked at me as the bad guy. Everyone thought that I was the one that caused, the riot, caused the corruption in the relationship. Everyone thought that I was the one that caused, you know, everything. And I'm not gonna lie, like, I went through a really tough time in that year. Very few people reached out to me in regards to everything that I went through, and I'm still going through the issues. The number one big issue is co-parenting. I ain't gonna lie, co-parenting with her sucks. But like I said, it is what it is, and her way of paying back is getting a lot of money for child support, which is really ridiculous. I'm still fighting that issue, and you know, it's really crazy, to see that if you really love someone to a point where, like, you willing to throw everything down to be with them again, and then you have to go through like these I don't want to say this. You have to go through the process and trenches, and you have to go through every single level of picking yourself back up, regardless, like regardless of all the past trauma, all the events that led to this, and even the aftermath, right? The aftermath of knowing that, when my brother told me what they did, and then also, the rumors started to spread around. It's like, oh, well, this is the reality. I have to accept that. It's after 5 years. Like, this is just a quick conclusion and quick summary. I'm not gonna like go in full detail of every little thing that happened before that led up to this or this event. You know, that's not what I'm gonna do, because that would be like an hour long. That'd be like a documentary at this point. I I just strongly encourage for all the men that go through this is to never self-sabotage yourself, and never put yourself at a higher risk than what your situation is already as, and as a man, you don't really want to be vulnerable, right? Or you don't want to show like your weak side. But there comes a time where you sit in the dark for so long, and your dark moments and your dark places become your demons. And it's really sad. It's the honest truth. It took me a while to really bring myself back up. I also went through marriage counseling, therapy counseling. I went back to the VA for help because I'm a military veteran. I mean, that's a lot of stuff. I mean, and I did a bunch of, other counseling and classes, and it makes you think, that when you don't think there's help, there's actually support groups out there and help out there for you. And don't think that your family's like the worst. you know you gotta know who your family is, especially when it comes to times like this, and who your real friends are when you need the real support. And so that's just my side of the story, and something that I wanted to bring into the light, and for everyone to understand that we all go through. I'm not gonna say like we all go through the same thing, but we all go through two very similar events, right? And divorce, right? Dealing with child placement, child custody, all the courts, family court stuff. And then, like I said, trying to be the best co-parent, and then try to be the best role model for your kids, and then try to be the best version of yourself every single day, and then trying to motivate yourself and inspire yourself. Like, it's an ongoing process. And there's always those days where it's like really dark and murky, and like you have like these crazy negative thoughts, and negativities everywhere. And so, but you have to understand how to pick yourself up in all these tough times, and you can and never ever be afraid to reach out, you know to whoever that person is. It doesn't have to be like some high professional person. Just could be just one of your regular friends that you really talk to, on a daily basis, and they take the time to listen to you and understand you. And so, but yeah, that is my story. I just wanted to put it out there, and there's a lot more other stories that I want to share, and this is just a personal video for me to go back to, because it's kind of like a personal diary vlog for me. And I just want to be able to shed some light, and also be able to share the things that's been hurting me in the past. And I also want to say that forgiveness is hard. Forgiveness is really hard, right? I mean, how do you forgive someone through all the stuff that they put you through? So forgiveness, right? Understanding your part of the story, understanding why I'm sharing this, and understanding where this is going to go, and for the future, and then for my kids' future, and then what am I really going to be doing for the rest of my life. And so it's just a lot of stuff that I just want to be able to share with people that have gone through so many events like how I've gone through, and don't really know where to go. And I just want to let people know that I love everybody, and it was hard. I'll do a little quick snapshot story here. There came a time back in that same year, 2021, where I almost killed myself. I had my handgun with me. I was drinking myself to death, and I tell you what, I didn't even pull the trigger. I woke up, I blacked out, and I woke up, and I was looking at a beam of light, and I had a cross on top of the fireplace. I had a holy Bible cross, and in the house, I would like say, I'm a man of God. I believe in God, so that's my religion, you know. But I'm not getting too religious here. I just want to be able to, touch base in this story that it came a time where that moment was so dark. I wanted to let myself go. I wanted to kill myself, and I blacked out. I just remember waking up, looking at the beam of light shining, like it was shining. It was like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like what you see in the movies, like how like the light just blasts out, right, and it's just shimmering, and it's crazy to see. And I was like, I was confused too, because I was still I was hung over, and I was out of it still, but I was looking at this cross on top of the electric fireplace that I have at the old house, and it's like, damn. I was like, is this a sign from God, or is this something else? And what's crazy is that a week later, I want to say, yeah, less than a week later, but it was about a week, the church members reached out to me. And it was one of my best friends. It was my best friend Ming. He actually reached out to me, and I started going back to church. And thank God for him to show the light, because I wasn't planning on going back to church no more. I was planning on ending my life that year. That's how bad it was. But I'm not going to get too emotional. I've been emotional for so long, and this is just a personal life testimonial story about, not just accepting God back in my life, but also, to find a way to tell a story that's impacted so many lives, and the lives that have been dealing with these issues, and mental health is a big thing, especially for men, and so I do want to make some more videos. Like I said, I know this is a long video. I don't really expect everyone to watch this whole video, but yeah, this is something that I want to be able to express my life events and my life story behind of all this. And so, other than that, that's enough for my day. And God bless you all. And like I said, I'm gonna pray for everybody, and I hope this world gets better. And there will become a time where there will be no time, and it's really sad to say, but yeah, life is too short. So, but yes, God bless you guys, and stay tuned as always.